Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Idiosyncratic Fables, a part of Wilderness Fire Productions, where we are cultivating the passion for books, audiobooks, and overall storytelling. Since time first began, we all have been storytellers. Everybody's got a story to tell, and I want to hear yours. I'm your host, James, and today I am thrilled to welcome a true master of narration, Christopher Brawn. With a background as a former radio news anchor, a PhD in Spanish literature, and over 30 years speaking Spanish at home, Chris brings a rare depth and versatility to the booth. Whether he's powering through epic fantasy as Christopher Brawn or delivering steamy romance and rom-com as Patrick Brawn, his warm, conversational style has earned praise from AudioFile Magazine and loyal listeners around the world. In this episode, we're talking about his journey into audiobook narration, how he crafts unforgettable characters, the differences between narrating sci-fi, romance, and nonfiction, plus practical advice for anyone who dreams of stepping behind the mic. So settle in, grab your headphones, and give a huge round of applause for Christopher Brawn. Chris, sir, thank you so much for being on the show today. I truly appreciate you.
Oh, James, thanks for having me. This is fun already.
So let's just start things off. Tell us a bit about your journey into audiobook narration. What led you from your earlier career into voice work?
Yeah. So, and actually, I was not a radio show anchor, but although I would have loved to have been. But the rest of it was absolutely, that sounds like me. Everything else you said, just not that part. What led me into it? Well, I mean, like a lot of people who are in it now, I first got in during the pandemic, got interested in it during the pandemic. I was taking classes I was living in San Diego at the time, and was taking classes at an improv theater. And the pandemic obviously shut that down hard and fast, like most everything else. And one of the things they were doing some online stuff just to kind of keep people engaged. And they had a former graduate and performer at the theater who was an audiobook narrator, I believe still is. And that was her full-time job. And so she came and just did a little, hey, this is what I do. Here's ACX. Here are some things to think about. Here's what you should worry about. Here's what you shouldn't worry about. Go get them, guys. And I thought, wow, yeah, absolutely. I will be great at this. I was very confident for no reason whatsoever, which is kind of usually the best kind of confident to be, because it's then so full of surprises.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, so I just kind of started out on ACX. I was the guy. Absolutely. Talk about not knowing what you don't know. Boy, I didn't know much. In those first several months, I just, was recording auditions and submitting them and, mystified as to why it was either just crickets or very fast no thank yous.
Right.
And I eventually took a class called ACX Master Class, and that at least got me to a place where, that was with David H. Lawrence the 17th, and that at least got me to a place where I had a reasonable profile. I had most of the right basic tech, and could do a whole book. And I got a couple books like that. And I then got very lucky about 6, 7, 8 months later, and had a response to a reach out to Tantor. And got my first book with them. And right around that time, I started coaching with Sean Pratt. And I made that decision in part because my first book with Tantor, like a lot of people's first books with Tantor, was a nonfiction.
Oh, yep, mine too.
And so I thought, well, okay, Sean Pratt, he's a nonfiction guy. Let me coach with him. And it was a great experience. And honestly, it's just kind of all unfolded from there. Gradually over time, I've, increased my been fortunate to increase my bookings with Tantor and the various imprimaturs that they run, and to be on other rosters and get opportunities through other situations. So yeah, here I am now today with between my two identities, just over 100 titles on the books. Which, if you told me that back in 2021, I would have thought, well, that how? Um, so it feels good. Feels good.
That's lovely. That's fantastic, man. Talk to me about your graduate degrees that you hold, the MA and the PhD in Spanish literature and then leadership studies.
Yeah.
How would you say your academic experiences influenced the way you approach narrating?
Well, I mean, obviously, like the research side of things, just I think graduate school, if nothing else, teaches I think everybody who gets through it a couple of things, and that is the drive to find at least what's not wrong, tenacity, like
Good
like
call.
you gotta finish it, right?
Right.
And in a good way, I think if you take it the right way, it will definitely hammer into you in order to get it done, the idea that perfection is the enemy of good enough, and so just put in the prep work, show up, treat it like a job, and then do the best you can, and know when to say, okay, that's it. Could I make it better? Maybe, but at the cost of what? And
Right.
and then as they say, is the juice going to be worth the squeeze? And usually, it's pretty obvious when the answer is nah, no.
Yeah.
So stop squeezing. Just call it.
I can fully relate to that, especially during probably my first year worth of audiobooks where I was floundering around without any clue of what to do other than going off of, hey, this is what I feel I should be doing.
Hmm.
I've got enough acting chops and confidence under my belt. I should be okay. But never once did the idea of getting training cross my mind. And of
Yeah.
course, here we are, many years later. I am so thankful that I went out and got training.
Yeah. No, same. Same. No, I mean, when I say like I started with Sean and then it just kind of went from there,
Hmm.
I mean, I started out with Sean Pratt and he's got such a great program because it's so structured and it just really it gives you a lot of consistent time on task, which, I think especially when you're early on, um, is so valuable. And
Oh, yeah.
because Sean, insists so much on, if what I'll say about like Sean is a pro's pro at this, and it's no surprise when you've got over 1,100 audiobooks to your name and
Right.
decades, in show business as a successful working performer, that he has that, but he's also able, I think, to to put that into his curriculum, and it's another thing that's there to take away among all the other information and lessons and skills. And it was Sean who connected me then with Joel Frumkin and his acting for audio curriculum. And that has been just, transformational for me. I won't sit here and say it made me such a better narrator. I'm not the one to judge that. But it gave me a confidence to, to know that I can handle lots of different kinds of fiction, that I know not just what it is that I think is the right decision to make as far as performance and all of that in preparation, but it helped me understand what, things about sort of typical or average listener expectations are from category to category or genre to genre. So, Joel and everything that he does in this space as a coach, as a mentor, as a teacher, um, has just been one of pretty much the best decision and the best investment of time and resources that I've made so far.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I actually had a question coming up related to your experience with Joel Frumkin, so you kind of got ahead of me there, but that's all right. I'm glad
I'll
we
talk
touched
about
on
it again. I'll never stop. I'll never stop pimping for Joel.
Yeah, He's actually someone that I not trained with one-on-one, but I did go on the audiobooks at Sea Cruise for their first ever inaugural session back in 2024.
Hmm.
And yeah, his teaching method is phenomenal.
Hmm.
Um, just he comes from an acting background, and so for all of us narrators that have likewise, that speaks to our actor's spirit, and he's able to pull that out and likewise pull additional material out that we never knew was there
Yeah.
to make us perform better.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll wait to talk more about that when we get there, if you'd like.
Absolutely, because the next bit I was still going to kind of ride that train of the bilingual bit as far as English
Uh-huh.
and Spanish.
Yeah.
Um, so that probably leads me to believe that it's spoken in your home for how many years now?
Well, I've been with my wife for we've been together for over 23 years, and we've lived together for most of that. So,
Outstanding.
yeah, she's from Venezuela originally. We met in the graduate program, so we were both working on our PhD in Spanish literature. So I'll only list the MA as the degree, but I actually finished all of that degree except for the last chapter of my doctoral dissertation, um, for a number of reasons. Life threw us a curveball, and I decided to drop out of grad school and go get a job. But yeah, so Spanish has been. We've raised two kids bilingual, um, and I've done all the dorky things. I've read the Don Quixote, both books in the original Spanish, and I've read 100 Years of Solitude in Spanish, and all these other things. I've got kind of the hyper literary and academic side, and then also this, lived experience side. I know how to talk about what small children should do every night before bed ad nauseum, because I I know all of that as well. So yeah, it's been when I was a kid, I always knew that I wanted to be bilingual, and of course, I had sort of overly romantic ideas about what one does with that. Um, and But to have that having a second language, a language other than English, as part of my daily life, well, my lived experience for almost half of my life now, and certainly the better part of my life with a fully developed brain, um, has been. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I love that so much. So walk us through then a typical day or a typical week in the booth.
Mhm.
How do you prepare for a new book as far as, research, character work, pacing, all that stuff?
Yeah. Well, it's changed actually recently this year in that I've become an avid user of Don Barnes' latest tool,
Yes.
Pre-Read.
Love
Um,
his stuff.
yeah, I was already a Don disciple, so I'm the Studio One guy, and done his training videos and all that stuff. So that. But yeah, this is a game changer because now I can sort of read my manuscripts in advance whenever, and like, I don't have to be as systematic about it as I used to be. I can just read it. I can
Yeah.
just read it because all of the note taking, all of the structuring of information that one wants to get out of a prep read, Don software does it. And so all I have to have done is just read it. And now, because it's created by a computer, I've got to look it all over and make sure it makes sense, so that I'm
Well,
not,
sure.
hallucinating on top of a hallucination, so to speak. But, but, so yeah, I mean, I start the project with a read under my belt, Don's pre-read information in front of me. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, I tend to get up very early, and I do most of my recording normally in the morning. So I'll do like a 3.5, 4 hour session in the morning. Um, and, I typically try to get 1 to 1.25 finished hours out of that. Um, I can't imagine doing an in studio record or like a directed record, because I feel like everyone would be so frustrated with how slow my process can be, how often I stop and like gather and like resettle and think and whatever. But what I haven't had to worry about that yet. I'll worry about that if and
Right.
when that day comes. I love having my own little process and being able to stop when I need to and go back. And there's times where I often will just stop and go back and listen to the last 2 minutes of what I recorded. Probably, I don't know, in the average session, we'll do that a handful of times. 5 is probably a lot. As I've gotten more experience, I do it a little bit less, I'll admit, but I
Sure.
still do it pretty, almost every session. Just sort of like sanity checking myself, like, I think I almost do it more when I've been feeling really good about what I was
Right.
doing. And I'm like, okay, I felt really good about that. Let's see how that sounded. Yeah. Then I will, work on other stuff for 5, 6 hours. And I'll come back in the afternoon, evening and knock out whatever I can in another hour to an hour and a half, another 15, 20, 30 minutes kind of max. That's most days. And I do that 6 days a week most of the time. Some days I don't do the afternoon session if I don't need it. I'll just do admin stuff, reading, prepping for the next book, whatever. So
Sure. When it comes to character work and, choosing the right voice, or even in this case, the right tonality that fits each and every character, Joel Frumkin's course really helps bring those characters to life, especially in dialogue heavy genres.
mhm.
What was that experience like for you going through his course?
I mean, absolute, like I said, just so many tools and resources. As someone who came into this without the classical acting training and background, um, understanding. Well, so first of all, when you talk about like building characters, um, the sort of the classic thing I think you'll hear so many coaches and experienced narrators say is, "Don't do voices, be characters." Right? Okay. Well, how do you do that? Well, there's a lot of different ways. So Joel, one of the first things he teaches you about is animal work, right? How to inhabit the energy of different kinds of animals and to see how when you do that physically, that can change what you deliver in terms of the audio and what the listener experiences then. Going then from character work to the idea of instruments, and like, okay, is this person more of a flute or, a bass or a cello or like, what are they? A violin or a piccolo, right? And if so that maybe makes a lot of sense to you. If you're a performer with a more of a musical bent or background. But the thing I use the most is what he calls, and I don't think he's the only one, but celebrity casting. I
Yes.
watch a lot of shows, I watch a lot of movies, and so the easiest thing for me is to pick a character or an actor. Sometimes I'm thinking more about the actor, sometimes I'm thinking more about the character they played. Um, but yeah, to pick a performance that I can identify and sort of easily review, either on YouTube or wherever on a streaming service, and say, okay, this character is that's what I'm going for. So it's sort of, is it Reese Witherspoon in Sweet Home Alabama, or is it Reese Witherspoon in something else, right? And it's just to give an example.
Sure.
Um, so that's really my go-to. Um, and then, just variations off of that, because obviously when you work in genres like fantasy writ large and sci-fi writ large, or even more and more, whether it's like romantasy or paranormal, or any of the romance, even like I said, sometimes there's so many characters
Yeah.
that uh, if everybody is a distinct character in their own right, and what I mean by that is like a celebrity cast, that can start to feel like that can start to feel like very crowded.
Oh, yeah.
So I will admit, although I do my best to make every character, no matter how minor, as real as can be, sometimes not everybody gets a full on celebrity casting. Sometimes it's just, okay, given circumstances, this person's in this place, doing this job, doing whatever. Okay, so I'm just gonna make them sound like this, right? Because in my lived experience, that's what comes to mind as far as who is this person and what do they sound like. And I think for me it works. And again, not that listener reviews are a be all end all. They're certainly not.
No.
But what reviews do mention my work, which is only like one out of every 50 or so probably. Um, do say that they find the characters to be distinctive enough, and that's always nice to know.
That is fantastic. You mentioned the animal technique. Now, of course, I haven't taken his course yet. Only have experienced Joel through the cruise ship.
Mhm.
But that's a very fascinating take on that. Like as soon as you said that, I instantly thought of one, a bear, just
Mhm.
kind of moving slow, plodding through the forest. Like, okay, how would a character in a book resemble that in his voice? And then on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, a squirrel came to mind. I just started kind of chuckling inwardly and tried not to let that come out while you were describing it. But
Sure.
thank you for that. That
Yeah.
was very insightful.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and there's more. I could go into. I mean,
Oh,
he does. You were on the cruise the first year when he did Laban,
yeah,
right? And all the different ways that can inform the way that you portray a character in audio.
absolutely.
So yeah, like I said, the toolkit that Joel can offer to his students, or anybody who works with him, either one on one or again in the setting of a workshop like on the cruise. Um, there's almost feels like there's no end to it sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Now, for the listeners out there that are curious about the technical side, what does your home studio setup look like, and what are the biggest technical or performance challenges you face?
So my home studio looks like I have a Studio Bricks. What is it? It's the VO edition or something like a Studio Bricks One Plus VO edition. I think it's just because it comes with a desk and a wall mount for the monitor and microphone. Um, and so that's a game changer. It's set up in a corner of my basement. So it's very quiet around here as long as I turn off the HVAC. And I have an AKG C214 microphone, which is what Sean Pratt, I think at the time that I was coaching with him, was using, and said, I like it. And I said, okay. He and I both have kind of, mid-range tenor to baritone sort of at most voices. I thought, okay, well, his vocal quality and mine's not so different. Let me try this microphone. It's been great for whatever, 3-4 years now. I have a MacBook Air with the M whatever chip with no fan, so that's great. Set up here on the desk in front of me. Separate monitor, again attached to the wall. Scarlett Solo interface. And yeah, it's my cozy little spot. I got a pillow underneath me on my chair so that any creaks or cracks from moving around on it, they get at least some muffling, and my butt gets less sore. Frankly. And my biggest to any more technical challenges, I hardly have them. Really, occasionally I'll get a glitch in my recording in Studio One, gets caught in pickups. I just record over it. It's fine. Um, and so really the biggest performance challenge, there's no technical challenges right now, knock wood. My biggest performance challenge is my stomach.
Mm,
My stomach wants to be a co-narrator on every book I do.
yes.
And so I've really have to I've learned how to feed myself, what to eat, how long before I'm going to record to eat it, and how long I have before I have to start thinking about eating again, or I'm just going to be, I swear my stomach knows when I am in the final 2 paragraphs of a chapter.
Yep, mine too. And
So
then
yeah, sorry.
no, you're fine. I cut you off it. But just to parallel with that, um, my stomach knows when I'm coming towards the end of like a really, climatic scene. And then my mouth will partner with my stomach and get like extra kind of like sticky and clicky, regardless of how much water I've consumed. I'm like,
Mhm.
you've got to be kidding me. And then I know it's time to go get like a snack, like some almonds or,
Yeah.
dates or whatever,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
come back and get at it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never had to pee worse than when I've only got a page to go.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
So yeah, so what is the greatest performance challenge? For me, it's typically my body.
Mm-hmm.
Because energy, I don't put in as many hours in the booth each day as some full-time narrators do. So I'm not here to say the energy thing. If you're putting in 7-8 hours a day in the booth recording to get your 2 or so finished hours every day, 5 days a week or whatever, sure, I can imagine energy sometimes is a challenge.
Yes.
I don't encounter that as much. I just have to get my body so it doesn't, get overexcited like I am typically narrating. That's it.
Yep. Can relate. Talk to us about the genres that you narrate. Which ones you say that you gravitate towards the most?
So it's really changed. When I started out, I think I leaned into the work, first of all. So it's like, what would they book me for? What would
Sure.
they cast me for? But then I think I also leaned into my background as an academic and as a classroom teacher. And so nonfiction's my comfort zone. And it was, because I felt like, especially with Sean's classes, his teaching, I knew how to handle that. I knew how to approach it. Once I took Joel's classes, and I've done everything Joel offers, that was when it started to shift. I started getting booked for more fiction, but I also started feeling like, fiction is actually, that's where I'm at my most comfortable. And it makes sense, right? Because as a reader, I read plenty of nonfiction, believe me, all those years in grad school.
Yeah.
I never once read it for pleasure. For pleasure, it's my favorite genres to narrate. It's fantasy, it's sci-fi, it's thriller here and there, which I haven't done a lot of thriller in the audiobook realm, but anything, Stephen King, the Dark Tower series.
Sure.
I can't wait for Other Worlds Than These to come out later this year. So yeah, I mean, now, and I love doing romance, even though I'm not a romance reader. It's been such a gift to get to understand this genre and the various categories in it of fiction that is really the backbone of both the book and audiobook industries, as far as what sells.
Correct.
So yeah, that I'm much more into fiction now. It's the majority of what I record, and I couldn't be more grateful that I get to do, especially the amount of it that I get to do that's fantasy, because it's great when you get to read stuff that you would read anyway, and it's your work. So that's pretty cool.
It's kind of like a win-win. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any standout books or series that you've narrated that you are especially proud of that listeners can go check out?
Yeah. Yes. There are 2 progression fantasy series that I've been working on for last year, 1 to 2 years, and yeah, I'm proud of them. I hope, I would hope I would be at this point. Progression fantasy is a slightly different take on game lit or lit RPG.
Yep.
Usually a less technical, not always, but the ones I've done, less technical, more watered down. It's really just about how the character and characters improve or increase in their power, their skills, whatever, over the course of the story. One of them is called The Dark Healer. And I just recorded book 14 of that series a couple weeks ago. And that one's interesting, I think, because it's probably my strongest, not overall performance, but character-driven performance.
Yes.
So in the sense that the main character is Raymond Reddington from The Blacklist as a necromancer.
Ooh.
Or at least it's me doing Raymond Reddington as, channeling Raymond Reddington as a necromancer. And, if you've ever seen James Spader do the Raymond Reddington character in the show The Blacklist. What a character.
Oh,
So
wow.
rich, right? But it is a little over the top. It's big at times. It is
Yeah.
quite often very big. But when I read the book, I was just like, this is who this guy is. He's so casually arrogant and confident in everything, and effective, at the same time. It's a guy who can't imagine failing. He can't imagine it. Why would he? And so there's that one, and then there's a series called Solo, which is similar in many ways, but the guy's got kind of, I think, the more typical lit RPG or progression fantasy vibe. He's just tired and annoyed a lot. Um, he's just, so it's like Harry Dresden, but even more of a bummer.
Yes.
Even more like severe and Harry Dresden without all the sense of humor.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So those are two that I'm proud of. And then more recently, this isn't a series, this is a romance title that I did for High Gravity Audio, just released recently, called Out of the Wild, and with Joanna Rosewood as my fellow narrator. And it's a really fun book. It's got a great story, great cover. I liked the character. I enjoyed the story a lot. So those are some that I would name.
Love that. I'm
Yeah.
actually writing those down as we speak. Got it. What would you say is the most challenging narration project you've ever taken on?
That's a great, I don't know. I think the series have felt challenging. So, The Dark Healer was the first genuine series that I booked. I think, like, while I knew in my head that I had to keep track of all these characters and couldn't treat any character like a throwaway because I had no idea if they'd be around for 17 more books or not or whatever, because obviously you don't get all the books up front.
No.
These books have been releasing. I mean, usually by the time I record a book, there's maybe 2 or 3 more in the series available on ebook at the time that I'm recording the audiobook. So there's a big challenge in that, as far as just, and again, that's something where pre-read has made my work a lot easier because it's keeping track of the characters as we go. But and the Solo series has been similar. As far as, I will say, I did a series of nonfiction culture guides for Dreamscape through Tantor last year. So it was like all throughout like 2025, bit of 2024, I think, in 2025. And they weren't really long books. They're probably 4 or 5 hours each, but I had to be able to pronounce words and phrases in so many different languages.
Ooh.
And I spent so much time, in Youglish, in the other languages. Google Translate slowed it down for the pronunciation.
Yes.
All these different ways of, looking up, Czech language, phonetic guides, like,
Right.
in my search tabs, for instance, or Botswanan. So I had so many different countries. I was so relieved when I got to do the one for the United States, and I was like,
yes,
here we go. This is a couple of days off. But yeah, that was a project that I felt really confident going in, and I stayed confident throughout. But it was more work, probably more challenge, to feel satisfied with what I was putting out than even what I had been expecting.
very cool. Now, conversely, what has been one of the most rewarding experiences? Maybe a book that resonated deeply with you, or even like feedback from a listener that just meant so much.
Yeah, I mean, the Dark Healer series has been super rewarding. I had no idea when I made this big choice that I'm gonna be Raymond Reddington as a necromancer for 8.5 hours. They're gonna love it or they're gonna hate it. People are either gonna go, wow, that's great. This is really a character. Like, this isn't somebody reading a story. I'm listening to a story happen.
Right.
Right. Was what I hoped and believed could happen if I really just became this character, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, when that thing went live, I actually went on a trip to Italy at the time with my family for like 10 days. And that's when it went live, and that's when reviews started coming in. And I had no idea what to expect. I knew that the books had a lot of reviews on Amazon, and they were positive. And
Yeah.
when the reviews started coming in, and they were so positive, and people being like, I love this character. And so over time, just that, and I hate to say it because we're not supposed to care about the reviews so much, but who am I working for? I'm
Right.
working for the author, even though they're not the ones paying me most often. But it's their work I'm trying to bring to people's ears, and the listener, because they're the ones buying it. If I do a good job, hopefully they'll keep coming back, so to speak. The last thing I want is to be the narrator that people, go, oh, geez, no.
Right.
I tried audiobooks once. The narrator killed it. I haven't gone back since. And I'm sure that there's some early books in my catalog where that has been the case, and I'm sorry. Um, so yeah, that's been rewarding. But honestly, this might sound a little cliche or trite. I don't mean it that way. Getting to do the work is the reward. Getting to tell stories, getting to relay information through nonfiction in a way that still carries a narrative and a story with it. Um, Gosh, I feel like, wow, I get to do this. Um, when I was young, when I was in high school and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to study in college, my dad said to me, well, you should probably study something that's going to allow you to go into teaching. I said, why is that? Because I'm good at, he goes, no, hold on, because you love to talk and you love to be right. Um, and I said, well, thanks, Dad. But he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. I do like to, engage in this very human thing we do, which is
Yes.
the back and forth of here's what I think I know. Let's hear what you think you know. And of course, we don't get to do the back and forth in narration with another person directly, but you do have a scene partner. You're imagining them, but that's okay. That's who I'm sharing this story with. And so to get to do that pretty much every day, um, to get to enter into stories and try to figure them out. And sometimes, yeah, I figure them out differently when I'm in the middle of performing the scene than what I thought it would be when I first looked at it. And so it's a challenge, it's a different challenge all the time. Um, so yeah, that's my favorite part about all of this. It's all a reward.
Fantastic. Let's move outside the booth.
Mhm.
Talk to us about what you do when you're not recording.
I moved a couple of years ago with my family from San Diego to Rochester, New York. Um, and that's a big switch. I wasn't a native Californian or anything. I grew up in Western Michigan, so this feels more like home, in a lot of ways. Um, and I'm pretty routine driven. So, I get up in the morning, I eat the same thing for breakfast, I come down to the booth, I record. I finish recording, I go out to my garage, I work out for 1 to 2 hours in my gym. I come inside, I eat lunch, I chat with my wife, who also largely works from home. Um, I walk my dogs around our neighborhood. It's a beautiful place to walk, even in winter. And I read. I read when I'm not. I'm always either I listen to a lot of audiobooks. So at any given time, I'm reading whatever I'm performing. I'm reading whatever is on my Kindle for my mid afternoon lie down read and my nighttime before bed read. And then when I'm out working around the house doing yard work, whatever, or walking my dogs, it's whatever I'm listening to on audio. Um, so that is most of what I do. I still have a day job, so to speak. I still work remotely for San Diego State University. I direct a federal grant that we have to train military personnel in language and culture for their career. So mostly what they call cryptologic language analysts or linguists for short in the military parlance. in all the languages of the world, really. But, obviously the big ones most people might guess if they thought about it: Chinese, Russian, Arabic, Persian, Farsi, um, Korean, and others. But, obviously what they call strategic languages, languages of interest to the military, um, and to national security. So I do work on that. I have meetings. I handle the budgets. I do a lot of communication by email, authorizing things or directing things, so to speak. So that's how I spend my day.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned dogs. What breeds? And also, what are their names?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course. The breeds are they're rescues, so it's always hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
But one of them is very obviously German Shepherd dog mix. Could be Shar Pei, could be something else floppy and lumpy. We don't know. Mostly German Shepherd dog mix. Her name is Rayla, after the female elf from the Dragon Prince series on Netflix.
Yes.
And then we have a dog that we believe is a Catahoula mix, which
I'm
is
not familiar.
it's like a working hound that I believe is primarily bred and may even sort of come from like Louisiana, like
Okay.
the Mississippi Delta area. And she's super high strung. It's like she almost looks like what a pointer would look like if it was mixed with an Italian greyhound, with the blue merle markings, and like super high energy, but also super sweet. And very smart, way too smart for her own good. Her name is Callie. That's Kallie. And yeah, there are girls, and I share everything with them, including most of our king bed.
Outstanding. All right, let's get into some lightning round questions. You ready?
Okay, I hope so. Let's see.
Favorite genre to narrate right now?
Progression fantasy.
Most fun character voice you've ever done?
Again, Dark Healer, Raymond Reddington as a necromancer.
A book you wish you could narrate that hasn't come your way yet?
It's got to be. It's a cozy mystery.
Favorite type of potato chip?
Crinkle cut, kettle cooked, sea salt and vinegar.
Kettle cooked for the win. Favorite type of sandwich?
Cuban.
Good call. And then last but not least, favorite type of condiment?
Ketchup is what it says on my bio. I've recently discovered, though, these sauces by the internet social media influencer Joey Swoll. It's called Taste Flavor Co. These sauces are super low calorie, so if you keep track of your macronutrients like I do, they super help you hit your macros while having a lot of good sauce on your food.
Ooh.
So, but if in a pinch, always ketchup.
Okay. Do you have a particular favorite brand of ketchup, or will any ketchup do?
I mean, I do prefer like Heinz Simply ketchup, but hey, I'm kind of a ketchup slut. I don't know if we allow that language on here, but
You're totally fine.
But I put ketchup in front of me. It's going on the
That's awesome. So what's coming up next for you, Chris? Any upcoming projects or genres you're excited to explore?
Yeah. Well, I'm doing my first reverse harem romantasy right now. I'm kind of in the middle of the series. They're short, and the male part is the much smaller part because with reverse harem, the female character tends to be the main character. And it's for high gravity. It's through high gravity for Podium. So this is my first time I'm going to have something coming out under Podium's banner.
Awesome.
So I'm excited about that. And again, the challenge of reverse harem. So I'm playing 5 different dudes, and like every other chapter, I'm switching, and it's the POV. So it's like it's a new challenge. Normally, when you do dual narration, you're doing the male main character's point of view, and that's one dude the whole book, right? He's got some dude friends, and they have to be their own characters, and that's fine. But they have a few lines, and that's it. So yeah, the challenge of 5 different personalities, 5 distinctive characterizations on rotation throughout my recording session is a fun challenge. I'm excited about it. I hope it comes out well. I've got doing a bunch. I'm doing like 3 books in the solo series over the summer. In fact, I just wrapped one on Friday. I just started the next one on Saturday. Got a couple more in the next few months. So excited about that because I love that series. And some more romance. I've got a couple of solo romance narrations coming up, which is unusual, but I'll take it. And then I'm kind of booking into October, November right now, and who knows?
Very
Who knows
cool.
what the future holds.
Where can listeners find your work, follow you, or get in touch with you?
They can find my work wherever audiobooks are sold, under Christopher P. Brawn, P as in Patrick. Turns out when your name is just Chris Brown, you need to come up with some differentiating markers. Or Patrick Brawn, like brawny, but without the E. And my website is ChristopherBrownAudio.com. Those are my handles on social media, both on Threads, Instagram, and TikTok, although with the recent change to TOS, TikTok is less of a focus for me than it would have become otherwise.
Yeah.
Look, I don't love social media, period. I know I need to be better about social media. And I'll probably keep knowing that for a while because I don't see a meteoric improvement in my social media game anytime soon, but who knows? Mostly through my website. Mostly, if any of the things you've heard me talk about today sound like audiobooks you might enjoy, go check them out. And hit me up through my website if you want to tell me anything, really. I've got a contact form and my email's listed there too, so don't hesitate.
I love that. Final question.
Hmm.
Do you have any parting advice? So if listeners that are tuning in right now could walk away from this episode with just one key aspect, what is it you want them to learn and or know?
About audiobook narration?
That or just anything in general, the first thing that comes to your mind.
Wow. Whew, that's tough. Because my mind can go 100 million places, James.
Mine too.
Simultaneously. But I think that what I would want people to know, whether it's because you think you might want to get into this work or because you want to, because you have a life and you sometimes it doesn't always go the way you might wish. And so you wonder about that. Now, I don't have all the answers, but I do know how you show up matters more than anything else. Have a bias toward action and have a bias toward showing up as fully and authentically as you can to everything that matters to you. And I fully admit, not everything matters as much as everything else, but when it does, lean into it. It will go better than it otherwise would have.
Outstanding. Chris, thank you so much for sharing your time and your experience with us on the show. I truly appreciate everything you've shared with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, James. This has been fun.
That's been an absolute pleasure.
Right.
And thank you, dear listener, for tuning in to this episode. If you enjoyed it, I ask that you please rate it, review it, and subscribe to wherever you get your podcast from. It would help me reach more storytellers just like you. And as a quick, cool little plug, dear listener, if you saw my latest post, we have reached a new milestone. 1,000 episode downloads so far to date. That is huge. And I'm so grateful for all of you who have been listening and keeping tabs. So continue to check us out on social media. Send me an email about who you would love to hear next, or even better, if you personally would like to be a guest in the show, because I'd love to have you. Also, I host a Discord server where I showcase my behind-the-scenes work of audiobook narration, and so I invite you to click the link in the show notes because I would love to have you as a part of that community as well. And as always, dear listener, everybody has a story to tell, and I want to hear yours. So until I talk to you next time, peace be with you.